What up, everyone? Welcome back. Today we're going to be going over pest management. So my goal was to have this guide posted last night, but while I was doing all the uploading and downloading and editing and all that, every video associated with making this video decided to delete itself from my computer after I deleted it from the memory card when it was already on the desktop. So now I'm having to film it again. So today we're going over integrated pest management, an intro to it, and where you should be going from here. So I'm on the old interweb here on the phone on Merriam-Webster's.com and typed in integrated pest management, and what came up was management of agricultural and horticultural pests that minimize the use of chemicals and emphasizes natural and low toxicity methods, such as use of crop rotation and beneficial predatory insects. This is not a cure-all. So just because you follow these practices does not mean you're not going to have any issues, but it's going to greatly reduce your chances and risks of those issues, and those issues becoming something that becomes unmanageable. A lot of these new growers and people that are just hopping in to treat it as a hobby are going about the route of like they would a lot of other plants. So they'll pop their seeds, water it, hope it turns out good, and if there's an issue, try and fix it. But the issues can become so vast and huge within the cannabis world that you could be well into an issue and not have any idea about it. So it's a good idea to take proper preventative maintenance and care, and that lies on a variety of different levels. So it's not just one thing on one level. So one of the goals here is to move away from sprays. It has become the standard go-to practice within this industry, when in reality it should be the last possible thought and consideration throughout your process. It shouldn't be the go-to, like, oh, I've got a bug issue, I haven't monitored it very well, and now I'm going to spray. Like, that's what you do after you've exacerbated all your other potential solutions and possibilities. So the name of the game is preventative. You want to do everything you can to minimize your potential of getting a bug issue. So in one of my guides a couple weeks ago, I talk about the importance of airflow within your grow space. I recommend checking that out because that is one of the vital steps in being able to keep your grow space safe to use in combination with other practices to effectively integrated pest management. So one thing that I highly recommend, very simple, it's not really going to save you, but it's going to help make you be aware of any issues that you have, are these sticky traps. So double-sided, just peels off, super sticky. It's great for catching like variety of pests, flies, gnats, aphids, fungus gnats, yeah, all that fun shit. So you can hang these, you can have them sit in your soil, you can have them hanging off a branch from the ceiling, by your intake, air take, by your exhaust. I recommend having a bunch in your grow space. You can also get these little guys right here, which is essentially the same thing. Just a little ribbon, pictures on the box. So basically it just hangs from the ceiling, strip of sticky paper, same idea as this but longer and narrower. Great for catching flies, so you're aware of what you have in your grow space. It's also important to be monitoring your grow space very regularly. I recommend minimum of once a week. Make sure you're grabbing plant leaves from all over your grow space, especially spots that might look suspect or spots that have a higher potential for risk, whether it be closer to the entrance or a hot, warm, wet pocket in a corner. I recommend getting one or a couple of these. This is a very cheap 60 times microscope, has a little LED light that is now dying on it because I've been using it so much. This is great for just quick scoping. It's got a little bit of a focus thing on there. Cheap, it seems like $7 if that. If you're wanting to ball out a little bit more, this is a 60-100 times microscope. It's got a little white light on there along with a UV light. This takes a little bit more practice to get down, but it's really nice to be able to scope your plant at 60 times, and then if you see a potential issue, send that little guy up, opens up, gets 100 times view, clear view. This actually came with a little bit of an adapter that hooks onto your phone, but unfortunately the volume up button on the back of my phone takes a picture, so whenever I attach it onto there it just starts rapid firing taking pictures, so I have to hold it instead of have it clipped, which is unfortunate, but it still works. Still able to take clear pictures and videos like this one. And being on top of your stuff is going to allow you the opportunity to know if you have a pest issue before it gets bad. anytime you get new equipment or using equipment you've already used to wash it down, use your preference of cleaner. I like to use bleach. I also like to use vinegar. I have hydrogen peroxide, but I never really use it. You know, do what you like, do what works with you. Make sure you research it and make sure it actually works for the cleaning of what you want to clean. Because all it takes is one egg, one bug that you miss to be able to restart your whole issue. And that's usually the worst too, because if all it is one, it takes the longest to repopulate. And so you're going to think you're in the clear for a while, and then all of a sudden your issue's back. So it's important to be regularly monitoring your product. And so something I'm still pretty new to, but I'm trying to spread the awareness of, and I am in no way claiming to be an expert, so don't think I am, don't think that I'm claiming to be. One thing I've been getting really excited about as of recently is predator bugs, predator mites, as a preventative. And so instead of having to be spraying your plants continuously, which might still result if you misappropriately use these things are great because they come in these little slow release sachets. This is from Evergreen Grower Supply, produced by AgroBio. They've got a variety of different things. Evergreen's based out of Portland. No, I'm not getting paid for any of this. I just like their product and I like what they're doing, and they're trying to change the social norm to pest management, which I really enjoy. But they sell these. Got a variety of different types of mites, but these ones in particular are Andersoni. I already ripped the package open because I wanted to quick release it. But basically, there's these two little holes on there, so the plants, or the bugs, will have a food source in there. They'll reproduce in there, be producing eggs, and they'll slowly be making their way out of those holes, climbing onto your plant, and if there's any sort of an issue, they'll attack it. Great for preventative, not so much trying to play catch up on an issue. So if you can keep your stuff in check to begin with, anything that you might be catching along the way can be addressed appropriately then. If you're actively watching your plants, you should see an issue way before it gets out of control. And so the thing with these bugs that's unfortunate is that people like instant gratification, immediate results, especially if you're someone that's just wanting the end product and not really caring about the process. So some people will go grab these, apply them to their plants, and not appropriately apply them for the situation that they have. Doesn't work, and then they say, well, these don't work. So they can get a bad rap as a result. And same issues can result in spraying. You miss a spot, plants come back, but it's easier, I feel, for people to be confident in their spraying abilities because all they have to do is oversaturate a plant. But this takes a little bit more knowledge and understanding of how to appropriately apply them. Just for reference, this is a slow release bag. These are the quick release containers they have. This is Phalanxis. This is like $22 for 1,000. This is Andersoni. This is like $1 for 350. So these are much more effective, especially at the bigger issues, but they're also a lot more pricey. So if done right and appropriately, or your bug maintenance will be cheaper using things like this, because the sprays can get expensive fast, especially if you've got big plants and heavy issues like russets or broad mites or something like that. I've got a friend who works in the rec industry here in Oregon, and he has been using nothing but predator bugs and beneficial insects and all that for years now, and he's never had an uncontrollable issue. But he has a very comprehensive understanding of how these work. And in just my short time of hanging out with him in his scene, he's been able to teach me quite a bit. So I know the information goes much deeper than just what he knows, and it requires a bigger understanding of your ecosystem as a whole. So I'm not going to say that these are the cure-all, but if you know how to appropriately use them, you're not going to have to be dealing with shitty sprays. And if that's the case and you're using these appropriately, you shouldn't have any sort of bug issue get out of hand. And if that's the case, you're not going to find any of these on your final product. Once they run out of a food source, they leave and go look for other food source, or they die. And if they die, they can easily get knocked off the plant with the wind. You might get some in your buds, but realistically, you're probably not. Unless you have an issue that's so bad that the predators are having to reproduce at a faster rate to deal with the issue, which in that case, you're already going to be having bugs on your weed anyway. So I like these. I'm not an expert with them yet, but I'm definitely learning. My goal with this guide was not to say, this is the way you solve all your issues. It was not to go over in detail any one particular method. I'm just trying to get you guys introduced to this concept that you don't want to go straight from growing to, oh shit, I have an issue, let's spray. You want to get your mechanical controls in place, like bug strips. You want to be monitoring your plants regularly with the microscopes. You want to be checking your stuff as frequently as you can. And then if you can, get on this game as a preventative, especially if you're living in Portland, because then you can pick it up straight from their warehouse. You don't have to deal with delivery or anything like that. Follow follow my previous guide talking about airflow, and I plan to release more detailed guides of each of these little individual aspects. I'm not going to make one on this until I have a better understanding and I've talked to more people about it, but I'm really excited to talk more about predator bugs and what you could be doing to keep your stuff safe. But my goal is to try and get you away from sprays if possible. And then if you are using sprays, only the safest ones out there that work for your situation. So I'll be going over in the future more detailed guides about predator bugs. I'll be going over sprays. I'll be going over more mechanical controls. Already gone over airflow and the importance of that, so it'll be more guides similar to that all relate to the same one concept. Includes this brief little overview into integrated pest management. I didn't want to get into too much detail because I wasn't trying to overwhelm anyone. I wanted this to be a very basic, straightforward approach, because some people watching this, I'm sure, just the hobbyists that want to throw the seed in the ground and watch it come up and do its thing and have weed at the end of the year. It's great. Works for some people, and if it does, lucky you, but it doesn't work for everybody. So I encourage everybody to be active in watching their plants, being active with their mechanical controls, with their bio controls, and if they have to, use the sprays. I'll be going over more guides in the future, so keep an eye out for those, so that way the concept of integrated pest management as a whole starts to become clear in your mind as to how to apply it to your current situation. And you absolutely have to spray. Do not spray in flower. Do not. I know too many people that do it. I can taste it on the weed. It's disgusting. Worked for a farm where they were spraying all the way through late flower. Smoking their weed would give me a fat, massive headache. Don't do it. It's not worth it. If you're doing this for the money, you're not doing it for the right mind state. You're going to encounter these issues anyway. And if you're going to deal with them, don't be selling that shit to other people and make them sick for your dollar. That's just fucked. Next week, we're going to be going over the pH of your water when watering your plants and the importance of it. The importance of checking the water pH before you water your plants, checking the pH of the water that's coming out. Nutrients are only able to be uptaken into the root system of the plant within a certain pH range, and each nutrient has its own specific pH range at which it can be uptaken. So there's different times throughout your plant's life cycle that you want it to be at different levels.